Welcome to Primetime, everybody. Oh, this is episode 23 as we are discussing Jordan Peele's Us, finishing off the Jordan Peele trilogy. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Carrie. How's it going, guys?
It's going great for me. You just seem like you're lagging a little bit, and actually now I'm hearing a big echo. But hello. Now it's fine.
Hello?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
All right, get all the technical stuff out of the way at the top, and then let's continue.
Oh, yeah, because there will be a lot of technical issues, I can already tell. How's my audio coming across right now?
It's fine right now.
Sweet. All right, so yes, we are talking about the second movie in Jordan Peele's his horror trilogy, Us. This movie is very divisive for a lot of people. I really love this movie. I think the twist is really like intriguing in a lot of different ways. I like the different messages that he always brings up in his films. But what do you guys think of Jordan Peele's Us?
Do you want to go, Karen?
Sure. Yeah, I love this movie. I loved it, from the first time it came out. I saw it in theaters, I think 3 times. Because I think Chad and I saw it the first time, wanted to go back immediately and watch it again. And then I saw it with a friend for a third time and loved it. Every time I've seen it a bunch of times because it usually comes up in trivia matches. And I think that's a credit to it because I think a lot of horror fans really do like this movie.
Yeah, this is one where after Jordan Peele made Get Out and it was such a success because no one expected that one to be what it was, that there was a lot of expectation on this one. So I don't know if that plays into a factor on the actual common reception of the film is that it's not as good as Get Out, and maybe Nope might also kind of suffer from that kind of mentality, we have to put everything up against that original first film that came out, but on its own, I think Us definitely is a fantastic movie. I love all of the shots that he does. I love the characters. I love the music. I love the ideas. I love. It's just a very creepy movie a lot of the times. Like a lot of the little things that they have in the movie just scare the shit out of me. And then also I love how they take he takes kind of a song that's a theme for the movie, and then he'll make a score out of it and stuff like that, and it'll incorporate that so it's a theme throughout the movie. And I love when stuff does that, just like with Something in the Way, Nirvana for the Batman. So a lot of movies do stuff like that, and I think it really adds to it. And this, I think, has an Oscar-worthy performance from Lupita Nyong'o. And yeah, it's just a really interesting movie that it's a big mystery too. And I like all of that. So this one's really great. Can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, so for me, when I first saw Us, I didn't know, coming out of it, I didn't know how to feel about it. I knew that I really enjoyed it, and I knew that I really loved the characters and the acting, but I wasn't sure if I'd like the twist. As I rewatch it more and more, the twist is genius to me because I immediately connect it, and I immediately, what Jordan Peele does really well in all 3 of his movies is having a twist and then having you go back and see what led up to each of the twists, and see if you can see warning signs leading into whatever the big twist is. And it's really shown in this movie because now, knowing what the twist is, you go back and you look at the characters a bit differently, and you're like, all right, so what can I see that makes all of this seem natural? And he always puts in great Easter eggs as well. So it's not just a twist for a twist. It's a twist that has been set up the entire film. I love how all 3 of Jordan Peele's horror movies are different types of horror films. So Get Out is your psychological thriller, with a message. Us is more of a slasher with a message, and then Nope is an action alien invasion movie with a message, and they all feel like they have a part of Jordan Peele, his character, like who he is as a person, who he is, with the comedy and the characters. They all feel unique, but they all feel different at the same time.
Yeah.
So I gotta take a drink real quick. Um, so with our non-spoiler thoughts out of the way, let's get into the big thing about Us, which is the theories that what could this movie mean. I've looked up a lot of sources like CC's World, who does Things You Missed, and Film Theory, which is one of my favorite channels to watch, who have come up with different theories and stuff that this movie could represent. So I got a few. I will go over and we can talk about each of the theories first. Okay.
All right.
So this is from Film Theory. It says one theory about Us is that it represents wanting the American dream, the biggest house, the most money, the best items. The movie opens up telling the audience that there are tons of empty tunnels under the U.S., just like America. We're superficial, and most Americans have nothing going on underneath. It's empty under the surface. So thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I got from it too. It took me like a little bit, maybe a couple times watching it to really realize that they're talking about like society and class systems and stuff like that in just a really like strange way. Because you can't take this movie literally. There's obviously not tunnel systems all throughout the entire country, so it's a metaphor. And you can take a movie, and if you don't think about it literally, you can go, okay, well, in that universe, it does exist, and that's a real thing. And I love that it's kind of like the people that are underneath tethered, meaning that the people above have all the power. They can pull the strings. They're the ones that control everything. The 1% or, just upper high class society. And the people underneath are subject to everything about it. And they have to move when the other people move. You know, uh, and then the movie's like, oh well, we're gonna rise up and make it not that way anymore. And yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a strong theme in the movie, and it's kind of also, there are kind of outright statements talking about it and how even people who have it really well, so the family that we follow, the Wilsons, they seem like they are pretty well off. They have a beach house. They've just
Mm-hmm.
bought maybe an inexpensive boat, but a boat. But meanwhile, Winston Duke's character is comparing himself constantly to Tim Heidecker's character,
Mm-hmm.
saying like, "Oh, he just had to buy that brand new car to like show off."
Yep.
His friend is kind of acting like he's all more knowledgeable about boats. Uh, I think that's a really interesting interpretation. I hadn't thought about before the metaphor of a tunnel, the tunnels being like, people being kind of empty inside. I always thought about
Yeah.
it a little bit more of like, I guess a little more literally, not tunnels, but like, kind of there, we constantly live in most places, especially cities. You have the most upper class people right next to the very poorest people, and
Yep.
they do
Sprawl.
coexist. Well, not really sprawl, but like,
Like they live like right next to each other. Like you go 5 miles down the road and you have rich people and then poor people, and it's like right next to each other.
yeah,
And it's not like lifting up the other people. They just coexist in their own different worlds.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of that, though, the boat specifically, I love. I got to just say, add in there that I love Winston Duke in this movie because he is hilarious, and he has a lot of my favorite lines in the movie and just parts. because he is that like kind of cringe dad a little bit, where he's dabbing, and they're
Oh
like,
my
"Oh my
god.
god, dad!" And then he's singing in the car, doing the five on it, and then he's like, it's not about drugs, don't do drugs, and he's just
Don't do
saying about.
drugs.
And then when he gets the boat, and they're like, "We're not getting on that," and he's like, "Y'all spoiled."
One of my favorite like interaction lines is like when Gabe is trying to give up the boat and Zora just goes, "Nobody wants the boat, Dad."
That is a great part.
They're
And
like
then
scared, but just like that lightness of comedy to be like, "Look, nobody wants the boat, okay?
yeah,
No matter what you
and
think."
that's kind of like brilliant comedy, I think, where it's not hammered over your head like people ad libbing or whatever. It's just a really brilliant line in there that he keeps trying to, this boat, right? And they're like, no, it's not
No,
a thing.
no. So speaking of the boats, I actually have again from film theory. It says Gabe buys a boat, the American dream of every middle class male, but it's broken down. It pulls to the left. It's a boat in name only. It's hollow. And when you buy a boat, you can't just buy the boat. You have to buy everything that goes in it. You always need more. Another example of always needing more is when Gabe, instead of fighting the tethered, wants to stay in Kitty's and Josh's home because they have cable and air conditioning, and Gabe always compares what he has to what Josh has.
Yeah.
Sure, Carrie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes along with what we were saying. That's like a really interesting interpretation.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with the theme of like wanting more, I think that's true for everyone. Someone on the lowest rung of society that doesn't have much, obviously they want more, but a lot of the times that more is for their needs, for things that they
Mm-hmm.
actually need, and can't get. And then you get people who are kind of more like Gabe, like he's doing fine, and then like
Yeah.
but he wants more, and then even you get the people who are well off, and they always want more, and you're like, when do you
Don't
get to a
need
point where
more.
you're fine and you're good? But
Yeah. All right. So another source from film theory, I used film theory and CC's World a lot for my research. But it says Gabe wears a Howard University shirt throughout the film. Howard University is a primarily black university, along with Tuskegee Institute and Hampton University are known as the Black Ivy Leagues, which was called that because it was made available to African Americans during segregation. So it's the American dream of going to a first class college, the Ivy Leagues, but it was a group of schools that came from segregation, a dark spot in American history.
That's an interesting interpretation. I kind of always just assumed because Howard is right, it's in DC right by us, and it is
Yeah.
a historically black university and one of the best. Like Thurgood Marshall went there for law school. Um, I just kind of took it as, Jordan Peele kind of building this character that he went to a historically black college and maybe some representation for that college. But that's an interesting kind of thought on it.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I haven't really had time to think about that. That's I didn't think that deep into what college he went to and stuff like that. But I mean, if there's more to it, then that is interesting.
Yeah. Just something that I noticed that doing my research and stuff, it's kind of interesting that like of all the colleges that Jordan Peele could pick, he picks Howard University, which is part of the Black Ivy League. I just found that kind of
Is it us?
That was weird.
That was weird. You want to swap us?
Yeah. There we go.
All right.
Where do we?
We
You
were
guys
talking
hear
about like we
Hands
were
Across
talking about
America?
like I don't think you started talking about Hands Across America. You were finishing up on the college thing.
Okay, damn. That could out a long while. A long
Yeah.
while then. All right,
So
so
maybe just count in, and
Well,
then
we're live.
start talking about. We're live?
Yeah.
yeah, we're live. It's fine.
Then go ahead.
Technical issues, ladies and gentlemen, but that's what you come to expect from us, or at least me on my end. So the film opens in America, or commercial for Hands Across America, to say, according to ZZ's World Things You Missed video, Hands Across America was a charity event in 1986 where people across America would pay $10 to reserve a spot and join hands for 15 minutes. The goal was to raise money and awareness to fight hunger and homelessness. It's kind of intriguing to me that Jordan Peele chose this kind of charity to be a big focal point of the film. Guys, go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I still don't really know that much about that actual charity and what went on, but from what I've heard, like it's exactly how you described it, and I don't think everybody was able to actually do the whole circle thing. Because it's like going over mountains and stuff like that. But as you see, spoilers towards the end of the film, or at the very end of the film, you see that the tethered have, I guess, become untethered, and they are now formed hands actually over mountains, and it feels like they've actually done this, and so I guess a charity for helping the underprivileged people, and I guess the kind of like metaphor of them actually rising up and bettering themselves and then forming hands. I don't know, there's something there. I don't know what it is. Carrie, take it away.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Like, it's kind of like the untethered or the tethered have to form this chain themselves. Like, kind of, they're still ignored even after the, original event. And I don't know whether, I don't know if Jordan Peele spoke on this and whether he meant for it to be a deeper metaphor or if he thought like visually and like it would be really a really cool concept. I'd be interested to know kind of his intentions there. But I think it does create a really cool visual at the end.
Yeah.
It does make sense when you finally get to the end of the movie and the twist that someone who saw that commercial as a little girl and right before she was basically kidnapped or imprisoned, that would have such an impact on her that's what she kind of like aims to do. I think when we're kids, we think some of these things are a lot bigger than they are. I know, it's very interesting. Yeah.
And because the little, so we all know what the twist is. If you're watching this, you know what the twist is. The little girl at the beginning who saw it is Red, and she's the one that instigates the whole hands across thing because she's the only tethered who can talk because she's not actually a tethered. But the real what's her name in the Adelaide. She is a tethered, but operating in the real world. So does she still apply by the same rules?
Well, I think it kind of switches once they switch places.
But that doesn't stop Red from still being able to talk, but you can tell that she hadn't had like a lot of practice talking. I guess she probably got used to not talking. And so when she actually has to retrain herself how to talk, that's why she talks.
No, it's because she choked her to get her.
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't
So,
realize that.
so her
Interesting.
throat was injured when in that hall of mirrors. So that's why. Well, that plus the fact that when the tethers come up to the surface, they're not used to the oxygen level with it being so high up.
Oh,
That
that's
it's
a good point.
hence why Addie didn't talk for a long time when they got switched, because the tethered version was trying to learn to speak more often, getting used to the oxygen.
Well,
Yeah.
I would assume it didn't seem like any of the tethered actually could speak.
Besides
Right.
her,
No.
Right. She
They
like learned how to when she got.
yeah, they could do like sounds like
Right.
Abe,
yeah,
can do sounds and stuff. um and then like the little what Pluto, is that his name?
Mhm.
yeah, Pluto.
He can like grunt and stuff when and be angry. So they can make sounds but not actually talk unless they're trained to, because as we see,
Yeah.
Adelaide could talk. So
So on the Hands Across America, I guess underlining story, the way I kind of see it is another dig at like America being hollow and being like there's nothing inside, because when you dig more into what Hands Across America actually was, which after this movie came out, I definitely did a lot of research into that. It was a thing during the Nixon administration. They raised about $10 million in charity. $7 million of that went back to the charity to pay their bills. So, in reality, instead of charging all this, $10 million all go to charity, about 2.5, maybe less, went to help homelessness and fight hunger. So the whole idea of like, yeah, we're doing this great thing, but underneath there's nothing there because they're not getting any money from it, pretty much.
yeah, that sounds about accurate for what probably a lot of charities actually do.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
there are websites. I can't remember what the website is, but you can check to see how much of the charity's money actually goes towards the causes and how much goes towards paying the charity's own bills and like
Mhm.
incentives. Like I know some of the most popular charities are some of the worst. Like I think it's like the Susan
Susan
Corman.
G. Komen.
Yeah, that's like one considered one of the worst
Yep.
charities because they don't actually give that much back to women with breast cancer.
Oh my god.
Um, and there's quite a few charities. So it's good to research. And there are statistics out there. This is something that does have to be reported in the US at least.
But like, wouldn't you think like the charities like that would actually be like taken down as fraudulent if they're not actually doing their job?
I
But they
think
Well,
if
should be
you do
everything.
enough, if you give enough to
yeah. So it's
people.
like if if they don't give anything, then yes, it'd be fraudulent. But because they give the bare minimum that they're
Oof.
allowed to give for it to be considered a charity, the government lets them pass, and all that money that they keep is tax free as well because they write it off as a charity write off.
That's insane. Oh, let's
Yeah.
stop talking about this. This is frustrating. All right.
All right, so let's move on. The running theme of 1111 is very interesting because that pops up everywhere. In
Hmm.
this film, the running theme of 1111 in this film has multiple meanings. One, 1111 is a set of doubles, so it looks exactly the same, the tethered.
Hmm.
But in some cultures, 1111 is also seen as a very lucky and magical number. And the theme of magic, especially with Jason, runs through a lot in this film. So the whole idea of 1111 being a lucky number, and then having Jason, who is loves magic, that kind of ties that in as well.
Yeah, I mean, like when you have kind of like numerology and movies and stuff like that, it can help to be like a, I don't want to say an easy metaphor, but like something that's like, hey, like we're gonna repeat this kind of thing and it's gonna have meaning. And I think you explained that really well. And then some movies take it overboard, like the number 23 and things like that. And you're like, okay, Carrie.
Yeah, I know coincidences were like kind of a big theme in this movie, and like you said, Hunter, how like the mirroring effect and how the tethered and untethered mirror each other. And I don't know if that's maybe some kind of larger metaphor for maybe underneath, despite like our class differences or other differences, we're all similar. But
Ooh.
And
I
I
don't
was
know.
like, when you talk about like actual like mirroring, where if that's the 1111 is supposed to be like a
Yeah.
mirror, I was noticing some of the things where parts where they're actually using mirrors, like when they're going to the therapist and she's playing and she's looking at them through a mirror.
Yep.
I'm talking
Was
about the little girl seeing her, not her parents, but her
yeah.
tethered parent or untethered parents talking to the therapist about her, like we need to get her to talk and stuff like that. They're looking through a mirror. I
When
don't
she's
know.
practicing ballet, she's looking at a
Yeah.
mirror.
Yeah. So another interesting Easter egg is on that boardwalk scene at the beginning of the movie where we see that 1111 sign for the first time, the Jeremiah 1111. Addie's mom says that they're shooting a film on the boardwalk and wanted Addie to be an extra. That movie is The Lost Boys, confirmed by Jordan Peele.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, because that was filmed in Santa Cruz, or at least it
Yep.
takes place in Santa
Yep.
Ah.
Cruz.
On the
That's
boardwalk.
really fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
Uh,
read the Bible verse that's from?
yes. Go ahead.
It says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape, and though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them."
So again,
So
the
saith the
idea.
Lord.
So again, this Bible verse is saying that something's going to come up from underground and attack you, and you can't escape it. That's literally the tethered in a nutshell.
Yeah. And some of the scenes when they actually do that is really cool. Like I was telling Carrie, like while we were watching, like I love the part where they're all kind of like cozy in their home. I forget their names, but Tim Heidecker's being kind of a jerk. She wants him to go do something. Elizabeth Moss. They're both great, by the way. And then it looks
Yeah.
up to see the twins, and they're immediately just attacked by their tethered out of nowhere. And you're like, whoa, because that's kind of the first sign that you see that it's not just this one family that's being
Yeah.
victimized.
This one
And
family.
speaking of families, and I texted this to Hunter last night, was the one of my favorite lines was just it's like the inciting incident kind of thing where it's like there's a family in our driveway.
Yeah.
It cracks me up.
I think Gabe goes, "Oh, come on, there's not a family in our driveway," and it cuts. Oh,
Yeah.
there is. One of my favorite lines in that scene is like Gabe with the pipe. He's like, "You want
If
a
you want to get
problems?"
crazy, we can get crazy.
Well, I love how that whole sequence, like basically from the time, oh man, what's his name? Jason says there's a family in our driveway to when the tethered kind of break into the house. That sequence is like simultaneously horrifying and hilarious because that cut you were just talking about, Hunter, it's terrifying to see them there, but it's also really funny because it's like proving Gabe Brog.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just seeing like just kind of like Halloween, 1978, just like how comfortable they are that there can't possibly be any danger outside,
Yeah.
because they're all so cozy and stuff in their house. But yeah, it's just like his performance in that movie, like I said, is just so funny, and I love when he goes out with the pipe or bat or whatever it is, and he's like. He tries to make his voice deeper to sound just to sound like all tough.
Yeah. Hey.
He's not a tough guy at all.
Now I love that whole sequence because yes, it is a baseball bat, and that again goes into the kind of American theme.
Oh
Is
yeah,
like most of the people who die in this film don't die by scissors. The tether gets killed by what we would see as American like objects, like a baseball bat.
that's a good
He
point. I like
he
that.
gets hit with a baseball bat, or Abraham dies thanks to the boat going to the left. The boat. What was it?
Yeah,
Zor gets hit
Um,
by the car.
yeah,
Is it an
Zora's
American
Tether gets
car?
hit with a car. Zora kills one of the Tether twins with a golf club. Jason kills Tether Kitty with a mineral rock, and then Zora kills Umbridge with or Umbre with an expensive
Right.
Escalade. So the whole
And
idea of like everyone is getting taken out by like what we would consider like luxury or like American type
Yes,
objects.
great,
that's very
great
interesting.
point. And so yeah, here's your expensive thing. Boom. And I love the line because it throws you off. You're like, wait, what? Like you didn't expect her to say that when she's like, who are you? We're
We're
Americans.
Americans, yeah. Also, another point is when Tether Kitty is putting on makeup in the mirror, she smiles for like a quick second, and then she starts to see imperfections on her face and goes to do a DIY surgery with the scissors. Again, the whole idea of we could have all the things, we could be the most good looking, have the most money, the most expensive cars, but it's always something more that we want. Always a little bit more plastic surgery, or this or that. Which Kitty brings up on the beach when she's like, when she tells Addie that she got a little plastic surgery done.
Hmm.
So that like parallel back and forth between both of them.
Yeah, I think she even says like she says like, "Oh, it's just about doing, a thing, like once a year or something to keep
Yeah,
things updated." So she's always, like you said, is always wanting more and more.
Yeah, and then even like I don't know if Hunter actually said this, but even when the tethered kills her, that it goes and starts to put on makeup and stuff like that to try to be like them, like the Americans who are the real Americans, right? Who are like treated poorly. Like we're living in like the most lavish, expensive, country with the most freedom, right? And yet we have people who live like trash, like the tethered, and
hmm
and so obviously the tethered want to be those people. Um, yep.
yeah. So going back a little bit to the beach scene we were just talking about. When the family goes to the beach, we see everything that happened on the boardwalk all those years before happening again. They pull up uh, just as a man is being carted off dead with a Jeremiah 11:11 sign. Kitty and Josh are arguing nonstop like Addie's parents did on that same night. So it's like everything with her going back to that beach and that boardwalk. Everything that happened back then is now mirroring, is like following her in that location.
That's cool. I like stuff like that when
Yeah.
things are mirrored. And I just did on my show Picture This. I just talked about a movie called Mystic River that does a lot of really cool mirroring from like the beginning of the movie towards the end of the movie, and it like I love like callbacks like that. Within one movie, it just really
Mm-hmm.
makes it feel connected. Everything's connected. So cool.
Carrie?
Yeah. So it's interesting how that happens. Like, and it's not something I think you pick up on the first watch. It takes a few watches to pick up on that.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Technically, this movie has two twist endings. You have the one with Red and Adelaide, but you also have the one where this is like apocalypse movie with everyone having their tethered twin, which I like that. I like the idea of like it starts off small with just this family, and then you realize, oh, everybody's taking over now. It's like it feels more like a zombie apocalypse movie in this like kind of post apocalyptic world.
Yeah, and it gets really creepy too. Like when they're watching the news and the newscaster's like, "All right, this guy's approaching. Hide your kids because I this is live. I don't know what the hell's going to happen."
Hide your
And
kids, hide your wives.
yeah,
Man, I'm old. But I love the type of comedy in this movie, like in Josh's house when the Ophelia scene where he's like, Ophelia, call the police, and they start playing "Fuck the Police" by NWA.
holy.
I died laughing so hard at that. I
I,
also love the fact that Jason and Zora have no idea what Home Alone is.
Yeah.
Like, come on, it's a Christmas
That's pretty
classic.
funny. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like showing people who are like out of touch, like generational out of touch, and then kind of the Tim Heidecker and Elizabeth Moss, or well, mostly Tim Heidecker out of touch because he makes that like god awful like O.J. Simpson joke. And I remember in the theater watching that, so many people just groaned like, "Oh, are you kidding me? That's such a terrible joke." Like, oh no, it's O.J. Simpson's outside my house. And it's like, oh my God, all right.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of the point of his character. He's supposed to be kind of exaggerated, which
Yeah.
I love. Um, so the ending of this movie, I really love. I love.
Mhm.
So at Addie going down the escalator, and we have that final battle between her and Red. Oh
Yes.
man! And if
It's
you notice
really cool.
as all right, so how am I going to explain this? It's Addie kills Red, but if you notice when she's killing her, like you can hear kind of the grunting, like the tether do. It like slips just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah,
It comes out just a little bit.
I love the Lupita Nyong'o performance in both roles.
Mm-hmm.
She plays two roles in this movie, and she does both so distinctly, so excellently. And some people I've heard like write it off as be like, "Oh, she does that voice," and it's like there's so much more to it. There's physicality. There's just little things when she kills people, and she does do the stuff, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's so weird." Go ahead, Terry. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, not only is she playing two roles, but both roles, are kind of secret roles, right? Like she's playing
Yeah.
each role, she with the mindset that the audience is going to think one person is one thing through the whole movie, except at the end. And if you go back and watch it, you can pick up on those hints, like especially the grunting. And like I remember the first time I watched it, right before the twist when she kills um her double. It's hard to like say who is who even.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts like grunting and stuff. You're just like, oh, that's a little, maybe it's just like kind of showing how she could like kind of turn into similar to them or something. But no, you realize at the end it's because she was originally a tethered.
Yeah, and I love like the little things in it too, like when the little girl Adelaide kills Red, or not kills Red, but traps Red, strangles or whatever, and she's got that like smile, like little evil smile face.
Yeah.
And she walks away. That little actress is so good. She's like
Also,
adorable but creepy too,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what?
yep.
And then
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you can go ahead because I blanked. Go ahead.
So, if you notice, another way you can tell them apart is early on in the film when Adelaide and Jason and like the kids are in the car listening to the music. Watch Adelaide as she's snapping. She's off key. She's off cue on the song. So her
Oh.
snapping and the song are completely different, and that's
I
because
thought I
the
did notice
tether
that.
can't really stay on beat completely.
Interesting. And she's also always, even before we know something's up, like in this time, post what we just saw happen with the little girl earlier, she's always just kind of like staring off and just like trailing off and just like, not even hearing people talk sometimes. So
Yeah, well, and she also has that scene with Kitty where, Kitty's trying to make small talk and Addie's like, "Oh, I'm just not really good at it." And you realize later it's because she didn't grow up talking
yeah.
and making small talk and hearing people make small talk.
That's a good point, but hey, I'm also not very good at small talk, so maybe I'm also tethered. This might all be real, and you just don't know it. If you're watching this, I'm just kidding. No, but like, well, I guess Hunter had to take a little break. But I don't know what are some of your other favorite parts of this movie?
Oh, favorite parts. It's a good question.
I'll say, because we were talking about the physicality and just like the end scene with the fighting and stuff like that. I love how like Red moves, how like a lot of these tethered move just differently. Obviously, Gabe's Abe, he moves like a big like hulking kind of guy, and is like really intimidating. But then Pluto walks like a dog, and then the other girl, she's just like what really fast and agile.
Mhm.
And then Red, the way she moves is so like deliberate and stuff, and she can move backwards almost the same way as she moves forwards. It's so creepy, and I love the physicality of that. And then when they get into the fighting, it's just so really uh, cool to see, and like the way they do the lighting, and some of the fighting is in the dark, and it's just really cool. And then like she actually like what strangles her, and
Yeah, and it's
so
like
cool.
kind of juxtaposed with scenes of the two of them dancing.
Yes, that's
The
right.
score is really amazing.
Yeah, it's like the score version of Five on It, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like how the scene where they show the people above ground and then they cut to the people like underground, like the tether, like
Yeah.
hopping in them. Like you have people on like roller coasters, and you have just the person just like shaking uncontrollably, like not knowing what's going
Yeah.
on. That's terrifying.
And like when you watch the movie for at least a second time, and then you see the beginning scene, and you see Yahya Abdul-Mateen Jr. the second go like, I'm just like with the shirt, I'm just seeing him going like the tethered, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so creepy.
Speaking of, that T-shirt is a Thriller T-shirt, and was
Thriller.
also from the 11th item on that
That's
Oh,
that
yeah,
ring
it
toss
was.
game.
oh.
Oh, it was, yeah.
I always try to like look at little things. Like, could that be something? Could that? I was
Yep.
like, I was like, Adelaide's eating a strawberry. Does that mean that she's red or something?
Oh, yeah, but the other thing, like you were saying, Hunter, about when they came back to Santa Cruz, when Addie's an adult, she comes back to Santa Cruz, and it all mirrors. The guy who was at like the game host or whatever, who gave him the T-shirt, was wearing a Black Flag shirt, and then one of the twins at the beach is wearing a Black Flag shirt.
Yep.
Oh,
And
so weird.
which is really funny about the twins wearing a Black Flag T-shirt. Like when I'm wearing it, is because Black Flag is I want to say a British pop punk band, and the whole idea of like the punk movement is like being different, being unique, being like counterculture. But one of the twins is wearing it, and she literally cannot be opposite from someone because she is literally a mirror image of somebody else.
Yeah, and they're literally,
that's a good point.
they have like basically a whole conversation where they're saying the same thing when they're like jinxing each
The
other.
jinx,
Yeah.
the jinx, the double jinx. Yeah. Also, the frisbee scene where like the way the frisbee lands is perfectly on one of the circles, aka like it lands perfectly mirrors like the circle of the towel, and then the frisbee lands perfectly on top of it.
Yeah, and then that even makes Kitty say like, and this is Kitty, not Addie, saying like, "Oh, I've had so many weird coincidences lately." So you're taking it as these coincidences are a sign that the tethered are getting ready to come up.
That's so cool. I like that.
So many little Easter eggs. Like this movie is full of like so many little Easter eggs and callbacks, and like
I do have a
meanings.
question about a potential metaphor and theme. Like, what is this?
Okay.
What do you think the rabbits mean with the rabbits with the red eyes?
I have something on that from,
because we've already spoken about the movies and that each film has some sort of like animal metaphor, like the deer in the first one, and then what is it in Nope? The horses.
The horses.
And then rabbits and us.
Yeah, so according to what Easy World said in his video, says that the rabbits could represent reproduction since they are known for reproducing very quickly. The tethered are seen as reproductions of the original.
Okay.
Rabbit associated with magic, i.e., can a rabbit appear from a hat? And Jason loves magic.
Okay. Because I was sitting there. I was like, what? New life, rebirth. That's what, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Magic out of
Yeah,
a
that
hat.
makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
So the could also mean a lot of different things because of the, how many rabbits they had. You could also see it as like maybe they're populating the rabbits exactly like the tethered are populated underground. Saying like
Mm-hmm.
there's like a mirror image between the tethered and the rabbits. Like maybe the rabbits are, because the movie opens up and we see the rabbits in the cages. Maybe saying that the tethered are caged underneath as well, just like the rabbits are caged.
Right. And you see all those rabbits caged and you kind of assume they're being experimented on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it's directly stated in the movie that the tethered like started as an experiment or something. Like I think that's what
I
Red
think it says it
says.
at the beginning. No, she might say it. You're
Because she
right.
says something like, "Oh, they tried to recreate, but they couldn't recreate the soul," or something like
Maybe.
that.
That's
I
right. I
also
forgot.
know
They talk
I
about
also
like
know
the government
that Zora
is because of
Zora brings up in the car that the government is the water supply.
Yeah.
Oh,
So maybe
interesting.
they tried to taint the water supply and ended up creating these tethered that they wanted to hide from the world.
Yeah. Well, either way, it creates like one of my favorite parts is the intro with the what is it, zooming in or zooming out from the rabbits, like hey, oh.
Yes. Jordan Peele also is like really good at like choosing music and music
Yes.
styles for each of his movies. Because like Get Out opens up with Redbone from Childish Gambino, a
Yep.
perfect opening song. This one opens up with that really great like haunting like slasher score, and then goes to I Got Five on it, which is a really good song. And then Nope has really like high energy, like electronic type music that really works well with the alien theme.
Nice.
Is there anything else that we didn't talk about? Can you guys think of anything else?
Well, I mean, we could just talk about like moments that we like, maybe that we haven't really talked about. Like, I like when Umbre chases, I forget the actual girl's name, Zora
Zora.
chases her, and then like there's that whole part with her. You see her like unfocused running behind her, and you're like, oh my god, and then they're looking at each other through the windows, and then she like ducks down, and you're like, no, don't duck down like that. And then she looks under the car, and then she looks up, and you see her looking down, and it's like, so I guess she
Again,
has high ground
the
now.
mirror image of each other. One's up, one's down.
Yeah, and then the guy coming out, what the hell? Get off my car!
Get off my car.
And then seeing her just slash his like leg or whatever, like, oh my god.
Carrie?
I also really like the scenes with Jason and Pluto. So they have that first scene where they're in the closet together and Jason tricks him and they kind of learn about each other. Like, kind of Jason learns that Pluto is still connected to him and will still do certain things. He learns that, like, because he trapped Pluto when they're in the car and Pluto appears, that's what makes him realize it's a trap because he put his mask back down right before, he, sparked the fire and trapped Pluto. He knows that when Pluto takes his mask down, it's a trap. So that's how he knows, and he gets him to like back up based on what he's learned. So I don't know. I thought those were really cool scenes.
Because I knew there was something with him doing the mask thing because he does it so much. But also, I love that Jason is kind of probably the smartest character in the entire movie. just how he's able to like figure all that out, like you said, and then like at the very end when he is like, it's a trap, and then he kills Pluto just by simply walking backwards. And then at the end, he doesn't say anything, but he's figured out something. Like he's probably figured out that she's not who she says she is.
Yeah, I think so.
And then he does the mask again.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's something I still am have been trying to kind of get more about on each rewatch, is kind of is there something in particular that ticks him off, that tips him off that she is.
Yeah, you're like kind of like watching her the entire movie, like, what is she doing, like nuance that I didn't notice before,
Right.
and how, like I was talking about, looking at her staring into space and eating strawberries and stuff like that. I wish I had like time to like stare at it and focus at it more, but I didn't this time. But yeah, I mean, you think you covered like everything that you noticed?
I think so. I mean, I kind of, from the first watch, took the movie as kind of a metaphor about how, people who are maybe upper class or have a lot, you will view other people's success as taking something from them. So in this movie, quite literally, the tethered have to kill the untethered, and then they take their place, and the tethered Addie, literally imprisons and takes over for the untethered Addie at the beginning. I don't know. So that's kind of how, and kind of vice versa. Maybe, people feel like they need to hurt other people or step on other people to get into a place of power or into a better place themselves. And maybe, I don't know, I guess it's good to question about whether that is our actual reality currently, or whether that's just like our perceived reality. But I think the strongest point is that, a lot of upper class people tend to view other people's successes as preventing their own success, or that's going to take something away from them, which is, in my opinion, not the case. But
yeah, no, I mean, it really does feel like, it could be like a statement on that as well, because that really does seem to be how it works. It's like the nice people don't, unless they get really lucky or something like that, or someone's looking out for them. It's like they really, you really do have to be dog eat dog out there in order to actually get anything. Yeah, honestly, it does feel like with limited resources, the more and more you take, the less and less there is for someone else. Especially right now with like rising and inflation, and not able to meet the demands of stuff, and housing crises, and people having more than one home. I think like the homes in this movie, aren't they summer homes? They're not like they're real homes.
Yeah, they're definitely summer homes.
So they have, even if it's not as nice, one is not as nice as the other, there's still a second home, which is, if you can have a second home, that's crazy.
I think it's also interesting, this movie is kind of like the circumstances you're born into can dictate a lot of what happens to you. So it's very clear Addie grows up with a summer home. She's kind of, growing up fairly. Her parents take the initiative to take her to see a therapist. That's, especially in the 80s, not something that every parent would have done. Kind of showing that she grew up well off. I actually took the Howard University thing as representing something that shows that Gabe grew up pretty well off.
Yeah, true.
Because, that's a very
prestigious.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like Hunter said, it's, a very prestigious college. And like you just said, I'm rambling now. But it should, like, Addie, the tethered version of Addie kind of grows up in these is initially growing up in these horrible circumstances. But once she, become like kind of goes to the surface and has these caring parents who maybe they fight all the time, but they do seem to genuinely care about her and have money. And she kind of, you know, marries someone and they seem to have money and a nice income. She kind of is just, you know, fits into that lifestyle. She, you know, dances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, only rich people dance because, well,
Yeah.
at least at that level.
Well, ballet is really
Yeah.
considered kind of.
It's like if you you know, ride horses, or if you play croquet, or,
Right.
or something like that. You know, there even like tennis, you know, is seen as kind of like an uppity rich person kind of sport a lot of the times. Even though, like, you know, less off people do it. We saw that in like King Richard and stuff like that, where, you know, it's like you have to get into those circles though in order for people to actually be able to make it in something, and they're initially going to be looked at as they don't fit in, kind of a deal. You know, with that, it was also kind of a racial thing, not just class, you know, rich versus poor thing, but yeah, like you also
Hey,
talking about
sorry guys.
um, that's all right, man. We were just kind of talking about like the whole thing where Carrie says like if you in this movie, like it kind of shows a little bit about how if you are able to start off like as a kid in a better off situation, then you're going to go further than somebody who starts off like way down here. Like they're going to have
Yeah,
to work a lot harder to get to even where you started. And like that's kind of like very true. I think like even for like, you know, first generation like immigrants to America have to work so hard just to, you know, afford things, and then their kids can afford to a lot of times be like ironic and have cell phones and just, you know, be like regular people in
yeah,
the society and actually be able to get, you know, good jobs and stuff like that, while they had to work like super hard just to, you know. And there's a lot of people that are still struggling and trying to reach that level of where Adelaide started at her life, to be able to go and, you know, marry somebody who went to Howard University, and, you know, then go and have like a second home, and, you know, have their kids start off at a really good place where they might even go even further. So who knows?
yeah. So that's one thing I love about Jordan Peele movies is that he deals with race issues in a way that only he can. Whether it's subtle, like in Us, or it's in your face, like in Get Out, he deals with it almost in a comedic but serious way as well, where it's palatable for a lot of people to take in, which I love in most movies. Some movies you have to have that hard message for people to understand it, but with Peele movies, he takes that horror kind of like thriller, adds in some humor, but also has a serious message behind whatever he's trying to say.
Yeah, and you can see just like how, you know, in all three of these movies, you know, it's just all done so masterfully. There's like never really like, even when she goes like we're Americans, like you might think like, is that a little bit on the nose? But it's like you still like, you know, you got to figure out what she means by that. And
Yep.
there's just so many like little things. Like we spent, you know, an hour like pretty much trying to, you know, figure this movie out. And that's what you have to do for each Jordan Peele movie, because he just like really works hard on writing these scripts. I don't know who co-writes with him or whatever, but
I think, I'm
you
pretty sure
know,
it's just him.
then that's impressive, because we know just how seasoned of a like a horror fan he is. So it's
Hmm.
just like really cool to see him be able to come in and just make all these movies. Just they're all original, you know, and we see as like fans how spoiled we are, where people can go like, ah, you remember that like really super original movie Us? Ugh. I didn't get that at all. It's not even a horror movie. It's like, what? Why do you just want to hate everything?
Carrie?
Oh, are we like doing our closing thoughts or like?
I guess we're closing it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can close it out. I will say, though, I do like how Jordan Peele's movies, like, they each have some running themes, but they also have different themes surrounding that. So like Get Out is definitely about race and like the racism ideals.
Mhm.
Us is more about the American lifestyle, the American dream,
Class.
and then yeah, Classist is all about trying to tame animals and what happens
Practical.
when the predator is backed up against a wall. I love how each of his movies, they're very unique, but they definitely feel like, all right, this is a Jordan Peele movie. Like this is a Jordan
Yeah,
Peele movie. He has his
easily.
style, which I love.
Yeah, dude's like already kind of like a tour. It's like, you know, even like Candyman when he produced that one, it's like, oh,
I
Jordan
love
Peele's like,
that remake.
I do too. But it's like, even seeing that, it's like, well, that's Nia DaCosta. It doesn't feel like a Jordan Peele movie, but you can sense that he had like a part of
Yeah,
it, but it doesn't feel like a full. It's just a Nia DaCosta movie, which is another thing. And I'm really excited for her to keep making really great stuff. But Jordan Peele, you can know it's a Jordan Peele movie, and he's got that
yeah.
signature style, kind of like a Tim Burton or like all these other people that Edgar Wright who have like their own unique voices. It's great to see.
Yeah.
All right, so before we end up, I do want to rank these movies. So we have
Oh,
3 movies. Um, Not like a tier ranking or anything, but just like where would you guys put Get Out, Nope, and Us on your 1 to 3 scale?
this one is a little bit hard for me because I've only seen Nope once. So it might be similar for Carrie. I'm not sure. Because I've only seen Nope once, I think I would probably go by release order and go
Okay,
Get Out, Us, and Nope.
Yeah, I
Carrie.
have
But
the same.
it's all very close. I would say Get Out's up here, and then like Us is right here, and then Nope's like right under it. Like Get Out is, I think, uh, premiere.
Yeah, I would have the same ranking. Get Out I think was so innovative, and it just on every level it works on like a metaphor level, it
Mhm.
works on a straight plot line level. Us, you do have to do a lot of suspension of disbelief for that
Yeah.
movie. But in my opinion, it's still really great. It has some fantastic horror moments. Nope, and maybe it's because I've just seen it less. We've only seen it once. Also, like I've said, I've seen probably 5, 6 times now. Um, nope. I thought was still really amazing. But I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe doesn't have as many scary moments as Us and Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when with scary moments in Nope or
Yeah.
what?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very good. What
So
about you, hon?
mine's gonna be different actually,
Okay.
Okay.
because I've seen Nope like 4 times already, 3 times in theaters, and I'm about to buy it again. So I'm gonna go Nope, then Get Out, then Us.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
love the themes of Nope so much. I love the idea of the predator, being backed into a corner. I love the whole idea of like the show business aspect of it. Like this is like Jordan Peele's version of Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's this love letter to old school Hollywood with like a Jordan Peele twist. Palmer is a fucking star, man. I love her in this movie.
Mhm.
But I mean, again, all 3 of these movies, like no matter where I rank them, I love them all. So that's
Yeah.
just where I would be right now. Like they constantly change
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit more distinct than like if I were to rank the Cornetto trilogy. That's always changing for me. But for this, I don't think anything's ever going to top Get Out. With these 3, there's other
Mhm.
films I like more than Get Out, but Get Out is like for me just like top tier horror. But
Oh yeah.
I'm glad that you love Nope so much. We need to rewatch that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Excited.
believe it just came out on digital, which means that for trivia purposes, it is now eligible for being picked. So Jordan Peele is now eligible as a filmography in round 2 as well. So I'm super excited to pick Jordan Peele constantly now. But yes, that's where we're going to end it. Chad and Carrie, where do people find you online?
Carrie?
Here, if you want, Chad and I are doing 61 days apart. If you want to see what we're watching and in what order, you can follow me at English Slayfest on Letterboxd. I have a list up.
Yeah, and mine's Chadwick Webb. I have a similar list. Check out my buddy's channel, the Dill Pickle Movie Network. We do a show called Picture This over there, which every month we do a year of best picture movies and stuff like that. And so we will talk about the movies. We will rank them. We will talk about the actors and actresses, the year itself, the Oscar ceremonies, everything like that. We just finished up this month our Lord of the Rings series. So we did 01, 02, and 2003. That episode will drop later in the month. And then next month for spooky season, spooky month, we're doing 1991 because that's when one of the greatest horror movies ever made came out, The Silence of the Lambs. And some other not as spooky movies were nominated that year. But, Silence
Very rarely are
won.
they.
And it's so great. It's one of the only ones to win like the big five: Best Picture, Director, Actor, Actress, and Screenplay.
Yep.
And I think once One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and what's the other one? I can't remember. But so it's very excited about that. Keep watching Welcome to Primetime. Go over and check out TMG Movie Battlegrounds Debate because I do a lot of debating over there. It's very, very fun. I just want more people to watch the debate if you like movie debate and stuff like that. And then check out my own channel, Chadwick Webb, because we try to rank stuff all the time. And we did Christmas, Harry Potter, Edgar Wright. We did all three phases of the MCU. And coming up soon, we're going to be doing Denis Villeneuve because we love that guy. And that's about it for now. Thank you, Hunter. This has been fun.
All right, guys. Next week we are finishing our part 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 3 tier ranking, and then we will have our full episode. I guess 1 to 22 list.
Yeah.
And then the week after, we are going to be doing a first time ever album review for Ice Nine Kills Welcome to Horrorwood in honor of Halloween. If you guys don't know what that is, each song on the album is based on a famous or not so famous horror film, and they base a song off of each of that. The videos are amazing because they have like horror icons like Bill Moseley. They have James A. Janice in their videos from Dead Meat. So really cool guys, really great music. I can't wait to have Chad and Carrie listen to the type of music I like to listen to and see what they think of it. Guys, if you did enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe to the Nerd Network.